Let's talk about learning for a moment. I really believe that this is the best way for us to think about why it is that we go to school in the first place. Obviously, there's other reasons, but foundationally, I'd like to argue that pretty much everything that school is about learning. But right away, we've got a challenge for ourselves, and that is how it is that we will define learning. What does it even mean? Because one thing we know for sure, learning is not memorization. I mean, I have lots of students who can just kind of remarkably memorize huge amounts of information and then come in on an examination, just kind of vomit that stuff out onto the page. But a week later, they've completely forgotten whatever it is that they memorized. So let's talk a little bit about learning. Right away, we're going to talk about, in some ways, the mystery of learning. I mean, my son Mikey, when he was very, very young, I tried to teach him how to tie his shoes, and you know, it was not an easy thing for him. He kept trying and trying. He never could do it. I remember the afternoon when he quote unquote learned how to tie his shoes, and you know, it was a big dog deal to him, just like it was for you, just like it was for all of us. But the question, of course, that I have is what neurologically in the brain happened that allowed for, at that precise moment, Mikey to quote unquote learn how to tie his shoes. Well, the point I'm making here is that learning it's kind of enigmatic. It's kind of a mystery. We're not exactly sure how it happens, and yet we're pretty sure that it does happen. Let's define learning as connecting or relating new information to old information. And by that we mean that you are learning any time that you are capable of saying about a new concept, oh, I get it. This new thing that I'm trying to learn is similar or in some way can relate to this old idea that I already understand. This is what we will define as, again, learning, the ability to connect new stuff to old stuff. Let me give you a word picture actually invented by one of my old students. She was a basketball player. She said it this way. She said, look, you know, I kind of think of the basketball hoop as old stuff. This is the old stuff that I already know. And the basketball that I'm going to shoot through the hoop as my new stuff. And I said, that makes pretty good sense to me. She said, yeah, but I think I figured out what's wrong for me in calculus. She said, that's the size of my hoop of old knowledge in regards to mathematics, and this is the size of the basketball they're trying to have me shoot through the hoop. And I said, well, you know, what is your solution here? And she said, well, you know, the reality for me is that I'm not going to do much in calculus unless I begin to expand my hoop of old knowledge. And so gradually I'll have to do that. I like that idea very much. The idea of learning also involves overcoming certain kinds of fear and pain. The best example that I give when I talk about this, and of course you've read about it, is the story of how my daughter Ashley learned how to ride her bike. Ash wanted to ride a bike. I brought home the new bike and pulled it out of the back of my pickup truck. She was very excited, pretty peak bike, until she saw the training wheels at the back end of the bike. She was not pleased with the training wheels. She said, get those wheels off my bike. And I said, no, honey, they help you learn how to ride your bike. She got on the bike, and of course, as the bike began to lean, she grabbed tighter. Why do we do that? We know we're going to fall. We grab tighter. She grabbed tighter, and then the training wheels caught her. Hurrah! And for the next several weeks, she was the demon rider around the neighborhood. I remember one Saturday I was watching ball. She came in and said, hey, Dad, I think it's time for me to learn how to ride my bike without my training wheels. And I said, fine. Sometime the next day, I think she came home from an outing with her mom. There I was standing next to this bike without her training wheels. My Ash all of a sudden grew immediately worried. She said, today is not a good day. I said, what do you mean today's not a good day? Look, it's great. There's great weather outside. Let's go. Ma's even going to videotape this thing for us, all right? No, I'm not so sure I really want to do this. She looked at the bike like it was some kind of foreign object. I said, don't worry, you'll be fine. Off to the front of the house in the road, there we go. A road, of course, she had driven on many times with her bike and her training wheels, only now no training wheels. And, you know, I stood next to her the way, of course, probably somebody taught you how to ride a bike. Maybe if you're fortunate enough, you've taught somebody how to ride a bike doing this. You know, the left hand on the handlebar, the right hand behind the seat. And I'm whispering to her, you know, don't worry, Ash, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. All of a sudden, I realize she's not pedaling. I'm like, hon, I'm not going to push you around the block here, okay? So let's go. You got to start pedaling. And she's doing it. And then all of a sudden, you know how it goes. I mean, I let her go, and off she's going. She's riding this bike. It's amazing. Of course, as a father, this is like a really major adrenaline moment. I'm like jumping up and down. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, but you know, that's always the word, you know, is coming, right? Now let's get one thing really clear. My Ash knew the curb was there. She had seen it before, and you know, when she hit it, she knew how to use her brakes. Okay, she hits the curb, bam, over the handlebar she goes, onto the sidewalk. She jacks herself pretty good. It was a pretty good wreck. I, of course, come running up. I'm jazzed that she was able to show that she could ride her bike any distance without her training wheels. My Ash is really upset. She is not upset at the city engineer for putting a sidewalk curb right there. She's not mad at herself for forgetting how to use her brakes. Right, she's mad at me. Stupid jerk dad, I think was the way she said it, and off she went back into the house. It would take her a couple of more days before we were at it again, and over the period of the next week, she had to learn how to ride her bike the way most of us had to learn how to ride our bike, with two elements: fear and pain. The reality is that most learning experiences involve some level of fear, some level of pain. But one of the things I want to point out about this word picture that has been so influential in the lives of a lot of my students over the years, and it's this: you know finally that you've made it, that you are maturing out of childhood into adulthood, when you no longer need someone else to remove your training wheels for you. You can begin to do it for yourself. Much of the work, in fact, that we're doing in this very project together of Study Strong is to try to appreciate taking off our own training wheels. In the end, the challenge for us is to be able to do that for ourselves. And I'm certain that you will.